What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another video on the channel today. Today I'll be using all my experience from Sorare in the last year to make a top 10 tips list for you Sorare managers that might be new to the game. Maybe you're thinking about investing in the new year or even looking at MLS over the summer. Pretty much I've accumulated all my sort of experience and knowledge in Sorare that I've learned to try and come up with some tips for you boys. So kicking things off then with tip number one, and that is to buy what you know. And what I mean by that is if you're looking to buy for the first time in Sorare, just take into account there is so many different competitions that you can enter your cards into, and you can see on screen here are some of the examples of the competitions you can play in Sorare. We have La Liga, Challenger, Bundesliga, MLS, under 23. There's loads of different competitions, and I think before you buy anything on Sorare, you should really try and focus on what it is that you want to be doing. And I would recommend whatever you watch the most, whatever you have the most knowledge on, is 9 times out of 10 going to be the best thing to invest your money into. For example, if you only watch the Premier League, why would you then go and invest into Bundesliga unless your plan is to sort of start to watch Bundesliga and you want to get into it? Same with MLS, you know, not a lot of people, I think Sorare actually makes you, or not forces you, but entices you to watch new football. So I'm not saying that it's go and blindly buy, whoever you want, but I'm suggesting that as a starting point, you should definitely be investing in things you know the most about. For example, at the start of this year, I invested heavily into the Premier League because that is the only competition I've really watched before I started playing Sorare. Now I watch all the other leagues like MLS and all that sort of thing, so I'm a little bit invested into that sort of stuff. But I'd say if you're starting as a new manager, invest in what you know. Knowledge is everything. My second tip for you new managers out there is that collection bonus and XP bonus only matters when it matters. Now trust me, you boys might be getting into Sorare and thinking, oh, why do people keep buying these big collections or care so much about XP? And the XP strategy in game has been developing as Sorare has sort of changed its sort of parameters over the year. But this is a great example I can show you on screen. Now, learn from my mistake. Here you can see, don't get me wrong, I finished third, I've got a healthy reward, but what could have been, hey? So if you have a little look at the leaderboard, I did manage to miss out by 2 points on the top spot, and purely based on the fact that, look at this guy, he clearly got it right because he used all in-season cards, and it, like I said, XP collection bonus only matters when it matters. And why I say that is because I had at this time, at the time of competing here, I had 5% on my Newcastle collection, as all of these people around me do as well, and I actually had the best XP bonus on my Dubravka. However, I used a classic Bruno, and obviously you guys know that they don't get as much percentage. You can see my Bruno Guimaraes only gets 10% here, whilst a in-season Bruno gets an extra 5% because he is in-season. I did have an in-season Bruno, but I used him in a different competition because I didn't think it would matter that much, and learn from my mistakes. You can see here I had a 15.5% Bruno, and pretty much I would have won this division had I have used all of the in-seasons together. So learn from my mistakes, please. Collection bonus and XP is no joke. My third tip for you Sorare managers is prices should reflect utility. And what I mean by that is pretty much over the year, obviously at the start of the year, as you can see here with Flecken's graphs, I just use Flecken as an example, as he is a starting Premier League goalkeeper that plays most of the time. You can see at the start of the season, Flecken was going for around £30, and nearer to the end of the season, he is £10-ish. Okay, so the reason for that, you can obviously see, you would think, wow, that is quite a big drop off, but that is because his in-season utility is dropping throughout the season. So naturally, his price should reflect on that. So what I mean is, for example, if you're looking at a player now, let's just say Flecken, and you're buying him for £10, that should reflect on how many games or how much use he has left in his in-season eligibility, if that makes sense. So when you're buying players, especially now, remember that they're going to have less utility in the in-season competitions. And generally speaking, we know that Sorare are catering heavily towards in-season competitions. Now, that's not to say that these don't have, they're not going to completely lose all utility. So if a player is, drastically cheap in an in-season or classic version, but you think you can utilize them and get the most out of them, then by all means go for it. But I would say, generally speaking, if a player is, quite highly priced and he doesn't have much utility left in the in-season sort of category, then think about potentially moving him on and thinking long-term for your gallery rather than short-term. If you're watching this video now and you're thinking about signing up Sorare, do not forget to use my link in the description down below. It does really help out a small creator like myself, and if you do use that link, you will even win yourself a free limited card. Okay, so tip 4 for you new Sorare managers, and that is going to be there is always another option. Now this one is sort of I guess derived from one of my old teachers, and the saying or the quote that they told me was, Josh, remember, in football, most of the time, clubs are paying for the name on the back of the shirt, not the actual ability. Now, maybe my example here is a bit of an over-exaggeration, but I'm going to use Messi as an example here. Now, let's just remove his name. I know he's Messi, I know he's unreal, right? I know he's probably one of the best to ever do it. But if we just take away his name, you'll see his price here. At the start of the season, 200, 150, 100 pounds, fair enough. But if we look at the scores in Sorare, again, fantastic scoring, but he has DMPs in there, and he also has a couple of bad games. But I mean, with these scores, you don't really complain, right? But I'm saying you've got to ask yourself, before you purchase players like this, the popular ones, the ones that everyone wants, do you think the price is fair? Or do you think that you're paying for the name? And what I mean by that is, if we look at someone like Suarez, who is essentially a third of the price, do we get the same sort of things from a Suarez? Now, he has the hundreds in there, he has the 90s in there, similar to Messi. Obviously, Messi has more hundreds and 90s, that's a given. But with the free DMPs, or the DMPs he is going to get throughout the season, do you take that? I mean, that is obviously up to you guys and your discretion. But for me personally, for a third of the price, I would rather have a player like Suarez in my gallery than Messi, because I know with Messi I'm paying the absolute premium to have a name like Messi in the club. Now, for those of you guys that have unlimited budget and you don't really care about that sort of stuff, then by all means, do whatever you like. But most of us, we're playing on a budget. We have to be strategic in some of our purchases. So I guess that would be one of my biggest tips or takeaways from this video, is that there is always another name. Now, don't get me wrong, there's going to be content creators, there's going to be people that push out a name or push out a player that they're using, and you're going to look at that and be like, oh damn, I really want that player, or I wish I had that player. But remember, there is always another option, and you're probably going to look to see or get that player at a substantially less amount of money and probably get similar results. And the reason for that is because if everyone looks at that player and everyone thinks the same thing as you, everyone buys him. Obviously, we all know about supply and demand on the market. If everyone wants a player, his price is going to go up. And then you have to ask yourself, is this player, if I took his name away, is he worth the actual price that he is selling at? Most of the time, if they're a bit overhyped, or a player like Messi who is seen as obviously the GOAT or whatever, then 9 times out of 10 their price is pretty ridiculous. And we see this every time in football. Modern day football takes Sorare out of the equation. You've got your Brentfords, you've got your Bournemouths, you've got your Brightons, you've got all the B clubs pretty much that are so fantastic at mastering this thing in their transfers and in their sort of scouting, that because not only will they have, what I mean by that is, not only will they have their A option, the guy that they want to get, but they'll have 3 or 4 different options to that guy that will have similar assets, similar attributes, and probably half the price. We see it all the time. Belieber, Caicedo, whoever it is, they bring him in, sell them for triple the profit, and then just bring in a guy that's pretty much identical, because they have a never-ending list of, I guess, players that could potentially play the role that they want them to. So I guess pretty much my tip, what I'm trying to say, is there's always another option that you can get, and pretty much you just have to master them scouting skills and really, look at the scores and be hypercritical when you're purchasing them cards. My fifth tip for you boys is squad building. Now, this is not to be underestimated by any means. My general advice, if you're looking to build a little five-a-side team in Sorare as we do, is generally speaking, first tip, well, this is sort of a multiple tips broken out down into one, but first tip, do not cheap out on the goalkeeper. Just spend the money on the starting goalkeeper. Don't mess around with it. Tip number two, buy the backup goalkeeper. Don't be silly. Buy on the same market, buy both goalkeepers at the same time so that you're not pretty much, say you pay for the first one, he gets injured, then you have to pay for the second one, you're paying premium 2 times. Why do that when you can just buy the first goalkeeper at a premium, of course, because he's the first goalkeeper, then buy the second goalkeeper, he's probably going to be like £1, because obviously he's not needed right then and then. But obviously if you have both, you've covered yourself in the long run. Also, for captain, you want to have a star level player. You want a player that is going to score them big scores for you. So don't cheap out on the captain. And third and finally, I guess, is midfielder and defence is where you can allow the budget to sort of slip off a little bit. And you can see on screen here, I've built some squads here. These aren't even my gallery. With that being said, I do squad lineup building every Thursday. So if you guys want to get your lineups built, all you need to do is sort of follow me on Twitter or come to the live streams every single Thursday, and I'm building squads for you boys, so I can even help you with the players that you have at your disposal. And the biggest thing that I look at when I'm building lineups, you guys will see in the streams, what I look for mainly is first and foremost the fixture. I think that's the most important thing, especially for goalkeepers and defenders. And then that little bit of spark, that little bit of, who's going to do well this weekend, thoughts and feelings. Obviously that changes from user to user. You might have a certain feeling about a certain player, and that's what will differentiate you between everybody else. So remember, in this game especially, knowledge is king, and lineups are ever so important to sort of building a winning strategy. So yeah, I guess my takeaway point for tip 5 is to really be critical about your lineup buildings, and remember, 2 brains is definitely better than 1. So once you build your lineups or whatever, why not get a second opinion on it and thoughts and feelings from other people, and you can use that as a reference point to sort of be like, okay, they thought this about this player, should I potentially put him in a less priority lineup, or do I stick with my guns and stay strong to what I feel is correct. Tip number 6, similar to tip number 5, they sort of go hand in hand with each other, and that is consume content. Now why I say this is because, again, like I said in the previous tip, knowledge is power, knowledge is king, 2 brains is better than 1, and so on and so forth. Obviously, the more content you consume, the more information you are consuming. If you watch videos and channels like this absolutely great one on screen you can see here, there'll be loads of tips, loads of sort of things you can pick up on and sort of learn and take into your Sorare experience. So not just me, there's plenty of other great channels out there on Sorare YouTube, as you can see in sort of my playlist if you have a little look on the channel here. I do have a budget battle series with loads of different content creators in the Sorare space, so maybe you can check them out as well, and you can learn pretty much all of the sort of tips and advice they have and note them down. And then obviously you'll watch players, for example, say if your speciality is in the Bundesliga and you watch someone like me, my specialties would be in like the Premier League, so then you're like sort of indirectly learning things about the Premier League, and that might help you in your strategy. Tip number 7, play what is free to you. Sorare are essentially giving you things for free just for playing the game. Now what I mean by that is rivals. Obviously for those of you boys that might be new, you can find well actually this might even be a new game mode by the time you're seeing this, but whatever the free to play game mode is, play it, because essentially you're getting given things, rewards, boxes, essence, whatever it is, you're getting it essentially just for playing Sorare, so why not? Also in the pro competition you can see that they do stuff like these warm-ups, which all you need is 1 limited card. So make sure, even like this for example, I know Gordon's not going to play, but I'll still do a warm-up because why not? You never know, I might be able to get something from it. And same with these sort of beginner sort of lineups that you can put out, why not go for it? Because you can see on the side here, they're essentially giving out what, nearly $200 worth of market credits, pretty much essentially just for playing the game. So I guess my next tip would be to be on Sorare, be active, be proactive here, and try and get the most out of your free experience in playing Sorare. Tip number 8 is, remember, Sorare is a game. Let's have fun with it, boys. What's the point in playing Sorare if you're not having fun? Build these wacky collections. You know, I've got a Newcastle 5% here with, you know, I'm buying players that I know that won't even see the field for Newcastle, but I'm just doing it for a bit of fun, you know. They've got five goalkeepers here. I know Roddy and Gillespie are probably never going to see the field, but still got it because it's just a bit of fun at the end of the day. So I think, what is the point in playing Sorare if you're not having fun? Like, you know, go for them crazy picks, you know, players that people might not think will do well. Your Jacob Murphys, for example, just captain him. Why not? You know what I mean? Like, things like that, just have a little bit of fun with it. You know, do things that people don't expect, you know, because then if you just follow the crowd, 9 times out of 10, you're pretty much going to get the same results as everyone else. But if you do something, you know, a bit funky, a little bit different, who knows? It could pay off one weekend, and that could be the difference between you finishing 10th to first. Our channel has finally become a partner with YouTube, and that means that you boys can become a member on the channel. How you would do that is by clicking the join button down below, and you can see all the exclusive perks to becoming a member on this channel. Not only that, but you would be massively helping and supporting a small creator in myself, making more videos like this one for you guys to enjoy. So I would really appreciate if you did join our membership down below. Thank you. Let's get on with the video. Tip number 9 is all about the marketplace. And look, before you buy stuff, you want to really master the marketplace and know what you're buying into and that sort of stuff. Now, I will say that generally speaking, instant buys are usually not worth it. Auctions, you can cut costs quite a lot just by waiting for auctions and going for auctions. Obviously, if you have market credits, auctions and instant buys are the best to go for. With that being said, guys, there is a link in the description. If you're new to Sorare, then obviously just click on that link and you will get yourself £50 market credit in the auctions and instant buy stuff. But manager sales is another place to sort of cut costs, because obviously these are managers that are just trying to get rid of their cards, so they will be listing obviously cheaper than Sorare are selling for. And generally speaking, I would say my biggest advice when it comes to buying, I guess, on the market, is to buy and sell in the same window. So it doesn't really matter when you buy or sell, just make sure you do them at the same time, because if you buy and sell on the same market, then it feels like you aren't losing out as much, if that makes sense. It's kind of hard to explain, I guess, market to you guys, how it works in my head, but the best way I can explain it to you boys, for those of you guys that are big in like trading and stock market and all that stuff, you understand what I mean when I say buy and sell on the same market. But for those of you guys that haven't done trades and stuff like that, or like crypto stuff or whatever in the past, then pretty much what I mean by that is, technically, if you buy and sell in the same market, then you're not really losing out on any appreciation. So yeah, generally speaking, buy and sell at the same time. And like I said previously in a different tip, buy the backup goalkeeper, because like instances like that where you don't want to be paying 2 premiums for the same thing, if that makes sense. So you want a starting goalkeeper from this club, so buy all of the goalkeepers, because one of them might start eventually at some point, and you've paid the same price across the board, if you know what I mean. Last but definitely not least is do your research. Now, you can see this nice little spreadsheet that me and Cal have. This is absolutely not a necessity, but it's a nice way to sort of, I guess, plan out your gallery. And I would say, generally speaking, keeping track of things is never going to be a bad thing. Now, remember, also a good thing, this can be a good thing for multiple reasons. Not only will it be better for organization, but if you're looking to buy a player, you can keep track of it on here. For example, you want to buy an Elliot Anderson, you can track him for like a week on here, and then you can learn sort of the averages of his price. You know, say for example on Monday you come on, you see that Anderson is £1, you come on Tuesday he's £2, £3 on Wednesday, and then on Thursday he's back to £1. Then you're like, okay, on average, he's about £1. So if I see him going less than £1, I should pick him up. if that makes sense. So if you're really looking, think about a price graph. If you're really looking to hit them low points, you do have to sort of do your research and, really, track players for a long time in order to get the best deals possible. So obviously, kind of goes without saying, prepare yourself. What is the great saying is, fail to prepare, prepare to fail. So there we have it then, boys. There is 10 tips in Sorare that I have learned over this year. Hopefully, if you're new to Sorare, you can pick up one or two of them and sort of take it on your own journey. Let me know in the comments down below if you did like all of the tips, or if you disagreed with any of them, then do let me know. Obviously, this is purely based on my opinion and my experience. I'm only one user on Sorare out of however many people play the platform. So, not saying that my opinion is always correct, but I can give you guys my best judgment. With that being said, if you did enjoy the video, please do leave a like, subscribe if you're new, and we'll catch you guys in a future video. Peace.